I need to tell you something that took me 24 years as a retirement planning attorney to fully understand. And honestly, it is something I wish someone had told me long before I figured it out myself. Here is a number I want you to sit with for a moment. 66.1 years. That is the average healthy life expectancy for Americans, not total life expectancy, healthy life expectancy. The years where you can actually do the things retirement is supposed to be about: traveling, playing with grandkids, hiking, gardening, going out to dinner without worrying about your knees or your breathing. 66.1 years. And you know what the standard retirement age is? 65. You do the math. You work until 65, and statistically, you have about 1 year of truly healthy, active retirement ahead of you. 1 year. For a retirement you have been planning and saving and waiting for during 40 years of your life. I am Carol Ann Mitchell. For 24 years, I practiced as a retirement and estate planning attorney right here in Arizona. I helped more than 600 people transition into retirement. I have been a certified financial planner since 2001, and I retired myself just 8 months ago at 65 years and 7 months old. And I will tell you something I tell anyone who will listen. Retiring at 65 might be one of the biggest legal and financial mistakes you could make. Not because there is anything wrong with you, but because the entire system was built around a number invented in 1935. And that number has almost nothing to do with your actual life, your actual health, or your actual happiness. Stay with me on this, because what I am about to share changed the way I think about everything. About time, about money, about what we are actually trading when we keep saying, just 1 more year. I want you to think back to when you first heard the phrase, retirement age. For most of us, it was in our 20s or 30s, and someone, maybe a parent, maybe a boss, maybe just the air we breathed in American culture, told us, you work hard, you save up, and at 65, you retire. Right? That is the American promise. 40 years of work, then Social Security, Medicare, and the rest of your life. I believed that too, and for a long time I organized my entire professional practice around that number. 65, the official retirement age, the finish line. But here is the thing. The number 65 did not come from actuarial science. It did not come from health data or life expectancy research. It came from a political decision made in 1935 when Franklin Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act into law. And you know what the average life expectancy was in 1935? 61 years. They set the retirement age 4 years above the average lifespan. The whole system was designed with the expectation that most people would die before they ever collected a single check. I'm not saying that to be morbid. I'm saying it because that number, 65, has followed us for nearly a century. And most people have never stopped to ask whether it still makes any sense for their actual life. We have absorbed it completely. It is baked into how we think about careers, savings targets, and life plans. I had clients come see me who were absolutely miserable at their jobs, genuinely suffering. And when I asked why they were still working, they would say, well, I am 63. I just need to hang on until 65. 2 more years of misery. 2 more years of stress and strained health. All because of a number invented during the Great Depression. And I get it. The fear is real. What if I run out of money? What about health care before Medicare? What about Social Security? Will I get less if I start early? These are legitimate questions, and I am going to get to them. But I want you to understand something first. Those fears are mostly about money, and money, in most cases, can be planned around. Time cannot. You cannot plan around time. You cannot go back and buy the years when you were healthy and strong, and the people you loved were still here. I had a client, I will call him Richard, who came to see me at 58. Vice president at a manufacturing company in Phoenix, solid 401k, paid-off house in Scottsdale, and completely exhausted. His blood pressure was high. His marriage was strained. He wanted to retire at 60. We ran the numbers together, and he could do it comfortably. He had enough. But Richard said, "I will feel better about it at 65. I will just wait." I did not push back hard enough. I told him the numbers worked at 60, but I let him choose without fully confronting what he was trading. Richard retired at 65. He had 8 months of retirement before his first heart attack. He survived, but those 8 months were the last months he would ever feel truly well. He waited 5 years, 5 years of stress and missed mornings, for 8 months of the retirement he had imagined. That story is not unique in my practice, not even close. Now, let us talk about what most people genuinely do not understand about retiring at exactly 65, because this is where real legal and financial consequences live. The phrase, retire at 65, sounds clean. Sign up for Medicare, start drawing Social Security, life is good. But that picture has so many gaps, I could spend an entire afternoon just on Medicare alone. The first dangerous assumption is about Medicare coverage. People assume that because Medicare kicks in at 65, their healthcare is essentially handled. But here is what a shocking number of people do not realize until too late. Medicare Part A covers hospital stays. Medicare Part B covers doctor visits. Neither covers most dental work. Neither covers vision care, glasses, exams. Neither covers long-term care. And Medicare has premiums, deductibles, and co-pays that accumulate. The average retired couple in America will spend roughly $300,000 on out-of-pocket healthcare costs, even with Medicare. That is not a footnote. That is a major financial obligation. If you retire at 65 without specifically planning for those costs, without looking at Medigap supplemental policies, without building a healthcare reserve, you can face serious financial hardship in your 70s and 80s. The second dangerous assumption is about Social Security timing. Many people assume that 65 is where Medicare and Social Security align perfectly. Here is the reality. For most people watching this, your full retirement age for Social Security is not 65. It is 66 and some months, or 67. If you retire at 65 and claim Social Security at 65, you are claiming before your full retirement age and locking in a permanently reduced benefit for the rest of your life. That reduction does not fix itself when you turn 67. It is permanent. I have sat across from people in their late 70s collecting $300 to $400 a month less than they would have received, simply because no one walked them through this clearly at the time of their decision. The third thing people do not factor in is what I call the identity trap. In America, we are our jobs. When you meet someone, the second question after their name is always, "So, what do you do?" We build our days around work, our social lives around colleagues, our sense of purpose around our professional title. And when that ends, even by choice, even with money and good health, the psychological adjustment is enormous. I am living it right now, 8 months in. Some mornings I feel genuinely liberated and wonder why I waited so long. And some mornings I honestly do not know what I am for. That is uncomfortable to admit, but it is true. If you retire without a plan for that identity shift, research shows your health can decline faster, not because of money, but because of lost purpose, structure, and meaning. Let me give you a number that should change the way every person in their late 50s or 60s thinks about their remaining time. The average American woman lives to about 81. The average American man to about 76. But healthy life expectancy, the years where you have your full physical and cognitive function, the years where you can actually live instead of just exist, is approximately 66 years. If you retire at 65 and you are close to average, you have roughly 1 year of truly healthy retirement. 1 year before the statistical likelihood of chronic conditions, cognitive decline, and mobility limitations begins rising significantly year by year. I want to be honest. Statistics are averages. You might sail into your 80s with the energy of someone 20 years younger. I hope that with everything I have got. But I have also watched too many people bet everything on being the exception and lose. Planning exclusively for the best case while ignoring the statistical base case is not strategy. It is wishful thinking. My father worked as an accountant in Tucson his entire career, loved his job, always said he would retire right at 65. He did exactly that. He and my mother started planning all the trips they had deferred for 40 years. Alaska, Portugal, a Mediterranean cruise. In the 18 months between his retirement and his stroke, they managed 2 trips. 2. He was gone at 67. Fewer than 100 weeks of retirement. 100 weeks for 40 years of work and saving and deferred living. I carry that with me every time I have a conversation like this one. That loss changed the advice I gave my clients. For years I had been saying, make sure you have enough saved. And financial security matters deeply. But the harder truth, the one I started saying plainly after watching my father die 2 years into his retirement, is this. You can always find more money. You genuinely cannot make more time. If you are sitting on enough at 63, not a fortune, just enough to live a real and meaningful life, then every additional year at a job you no longer love is a year traded for money you probably do not need. That trade has never made sense. Not for one single person I ever sat across from. One more thing. Cognitive decline is almost never dramatic at first. It is slow and quiet. One of the most heartbreaking things I witnessed in 24 years of practice was a retired engineer with $2.1 million saved who came in at 72 with early-stage dementia. He had worked until 68 for just a little more security. He could not remember our conversation from 20 minutes before. All that money, all those extra years of sacrifice, and he could not enjoy any of it. That image has never left me. So what do you actually do with all of this? Let me give you practical, concrete things to think about. This is educational content, not personal, financial, or legal advice. I do not know your specific situation, And I strongly encourage you to work with a fee-only financial advisor who does. But these are the things I think matter most. First, know your Social Security break-even age and make an active, informed decision about claiming. If you claim at 65, you are claiming before your full retirement age and locking in a permanently reduced benefit. The break-even point, where waiting pays off, is typically around age 78 to 80. If your health and family history suggest you will likely live well into your 80s, waiting usually makes financial sense. If your health picture is less optimistic, taking it earlier may actually be smarter. Run that math deliberately with real numbers for your actual situation. Second, if you are thinking about retiring before Medicare at 65, build a healthcare bridge into your budget now. COBRA is available for 18 months after leaving employer coverage, but can cost $700 to $1,200 per month or more for a single person. The ACA Marketplace is another option, and depending on your retirement income level, you may qualify for significant subsidies. Healthcare is consistently the most underplanned piece of early retirement. Third, think about your 401k and IRA withdrawal strategy before you retire, not after. The sequence of which accounts you draw from first has real tax implications. Roth conversion laddering alone can save some people tens of thousands of dollars over a 20-year retirement. This conversation is worth having with both a CPA and a fee-only financial planner who specializes in distribution strategies. Fourth, make a real plan for your days before you retire, not after. What will you do on a Tuesday at 10 in the morning? Where will your structure come from? What gives your life meaning beyond your title? The retirees I watched genuinely flourish almost always had thought through these questions before they left. The ones who struggled most said, "I will figure it out once I get there." Retirement is not a vacation. It is a whole new chapter that deserves the same intentional planning you have given to every other chapter. And finally, this is the question I come back to most, even now, 8 months in, still figuring out my own footing in this new life. Ask yourself honestly, if I knew for certain I had only 700 or 800 healthy weeks left, would I choose to spend any more of them the way I am currently spending them? Not from fear, from honesty, from genuine love for the life you still have the chance to live. Because here is what I know after sitting with more than 600 people through this threshold. The regrets are almost never about retiring too early. They are almost always about waiting too long. Working 1 more year, 2 more years, 5 more years, until the body said no when the heart had been saying it for a long time already. You can always find more money. You genuinely cannot make more time. Be thoughtful. Be deliberate. Do not slide into retirement by default. Choose it consciously, on your terms, with your eyes wide open. And please, do not waste the youth of your senior years. This content is for educational purposes only and is not financial or legal advice. Please work with a qualified professional who understands your unique situation.